Hello! Today we will be walking through how to create a scheduling preference set within Astra Schedule. Your scheduling preferences are the rules that the optimizer uses when bulk assigning rooms for a term to sections. To navigate to the scheduling preferences, click on the Academics tab, and under your Admin section, click into Scheduling Preferences. Here you will have a list of your scheduling preference sets that you have created, as we can see here in this demo site. And you can create a new one by clicking on New Preference Set and Room Preference Set. You can enter a name for your preference set as it is required. You can also enter a description if you would like, but it is not required. And to add a rule to your preference set, at the very top next to your Save, and Close, and Cancel buttons, you have an Add Rule button. When I click this, it gives me a pop-up to create a new rule for this preference set. On the left-hand side, we have the criteria for the rule, and on the right-hand side, we have the preferences. The criteria are telling the optimizer which sections this should be applied to. So as you can see, you can say any sections on a certain campus, any sections that have a certain meeting type, any sections within a certain subject, any sections that are in a certain course, or any sections taught by a certain instructor. You can also use these together. You can say lectures within a certain subject need to go one place, and maybe labs in another subject need to go somewhere else. To choose any of these, simply click the plus sign, and you will have a menu to come in and choose what you would like to create a rule for. I will choose lecture for now and click done to apply that to my criteria. Our preferences on the right-hand side are where we want these classes or sections to go. You can see we can choose that they go to certain room types, they go to certain rooms with certain features, they go to rooms set up in a specific region, same with buildings, and then individual rooms that we want them to go into. You can also use a combination of these by maybe saying that you want the lectures to go into a classroom or a lecture room type. And you can also say that you want them to be within a specific building. Maybe we want all of our lectures to go into the Adams Hall building into a room type of classroom. You can also add multiple criteria on each preference. Maybe classroom is one of our choices, and the other choice would be a lecture room. Same thing, we can come in here and choose multiple buildings for this to go into. Now, the last important piece when creating a preference set is your weight and your mode. Weight is only applied to whatever preference you are in, whatever tab you are in. So you will only be looking at the weight for buildings within this tab. But this is where you can say which of these buildings is more important than the other, or your first priority. If you want your lectures to go into Adams Hall before they go into the Jackson building, then you can weight Adams higher. The numbers are arbitrary. You just need to have one number higher than the other, and the optimizer will look at the higher number first. If you only have one thing selected, if you only have Adams Hall, then you don't need to worry about updating your weight. The mode is how intense your rule is. For example, normal mode is the default for a rule, and normal means I would prefer for this class to be in one of these two buildings, but if a room in one of those two buildings is not available, they can go into a different building and different rooms in another building. You can change the mode to instead be required. The required mode means I want this class to go into the Adams or Jackson building, but if rooms in the Adams or Jackson building are not available, do not schedule it. As required mode is a hard stop. It has to be in one of these two buildings. The last mode that you will look at using within the scheduling preferences is the exclude mode. So let's say Adams Hall was one that you would prefer for the classes to go into, but if Adams Hall wasn't available, they could go somewhere else. You can set that up with the normal mode. However, maybe you want it to go into Adams with your first choice. Any other building is your second choice, but you do not want the lectures to go into the Jackson building. That's where the exclude mode comes into play. We do have colors tied to these modes. I'm going to change this to required here so that you can see the difference there. I'm going to click OK to create this rule. And if I click my plus sign on the left-hand side, then we can see the different colors within this rule. First of all, our criteria are on the left-hand side, so we can see that lectures are the sections that we've created a rule for here. On the right-hand side, our room type of classroom or lecture is required, and I know it's required because it's green. Our building of Adams Hall is normal, so it is a preference and not a requirement, and I know that because it's in black text. But I also know that these classes will never go into the Jackson building because it is yellow or an orangey yellow, which is our exclude mode. You can continue to build as many rules as needed. And if you have any questions when coming through and building rules, a client experience manager would be more than happy to walk you through building rules within your system. To finish your rule set, you can either click Save to save and continue working, or you can click Save and Close, and it will take you back to your list of preferences where you can see your master preference set has been created.